All right, so Jay, sticking with the NFL, going into this week, one of the most interesting and potentially impactful stories or happenings in the NFL was the decision to part ways with Odell Beckham Jr. And the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, after 2-3 seasons of it just not working, they decided to go their separate ways. And so coming into this weekend, we had two questions on the mind. That is, where is Odell Beckham Jr. going to sign were he to clear waivers? And how would this Browns team, now free from Odell, how would they perform in a game, a real football game against the Cincinnati Bengals, who at one point in the season, 1 week, was considered the best team in the AFC or was in the number one spot. So starting with the Browns come out in this game, Jay, and just completely control this game from start to finish. They look like the team I picked to go to the Super Bowl this season, and you picked to go very far as well, winning 41-14. I mean, offense, defense, Chubb, left hook, right hook, everything is working. Everything's learning. Everything is landing. And Baker Mayfield, clinical, 14 of 21, 200-plus yards, 2 touchdown passes. That's exactly what you want him to be able to do. So they look fantastic. They look free. They look like the team that they were supposed to, just a team full of blue-collar guys executing the Coach of the Year's game plan on the way to dominating a team that is not what we thought they were. So we had that. Did you have any other thoughts on that, on the Browns-Bengals game?
So the running thing about the Browns not having OBJ is that they're better without him. And we said that back when OBJ was hurt last year, the Browns made the playoffs without him. We were really talking through a lot of that. I didn't want to say that they were better without him, but it seems like Baker worries less about him. So when that video and everything came out that OBJ's dad put out there on the internet or whatnot, I don't think OBJ had anything to do with that. I think that was his dad just being pissed off because he wants his son to be successful and excel. And honestly, if you watch the video, there were a lot of plays where Baker just completely missed the opportunity to throw to him.
And I mean, that happens more than you think. There are plenty of times probably DeAndre Hopkins is wide open and Murray just makes a different decision.
Yeah, but as butt naked open as he kind of was, there's a way that there's concern there. But I believe the biggest problem is that Baker's more of a quarterback where he tries to force it to the star receiver when he shouldn't, and then he distributes it when he shouldn't sometimes too. That's probably when he should have passed it to the guy. I think Baker's good, not great. And I think that
I agree.
It's better for him to not have a player like OBJ because then he can hit Donovan Peoples-Jones more. And go down the whole list of all those receivers that they have and just play a power run offense, which the Browns truly are.
And I think, too, that even from a leadership standpoint, even though as the quarterback, you are supposed to be at least the leader of the offense at worst, but at best be the leader of the team. Yeah. I think with a personality like Odell Beckham Jr., even though he wasn't necessarily the leader of the team and trying to become the leader of the team, when you have a personality like that's that magnetic, what can happen is if your message or your focus or you as the leader trying to steer the direction of the team is different from this magnetic personality, this larger-than-life personality, there can be conflict there within the locker room. So I think for Baker, from a psychological standpoint, without OBJ there, he is the unquestioned leader of this, at least of this offense, and he's free to truly treat every receiver like they're the same person. Like, my favorite receiver is the one who's open. Yep. Whereas when you have someone out there like OBJ, no matter how much you try, you cannot look at them as just another receiver. I'll hit you when you get open.
Yeah, they're not.
So I think that just from that standpoint, just that effect on the team or that effect on Baker, at least in this game, had a net positive impact. And that's a huge part of the reason why they were able to do this to the Cincinnati. They made the Bengals look like the Bengals.
They really did.
And I hate that because I love what was happening with the Bengals, with Burrow, with Mixon finally having better offensive players around him, with Jamar Chase, but
they couldn't do anything in that game. It was, Joe Mixon got a little bit. Jamar Chase was kind of disappeared in this game. Didn't get any deep plays he normally would. So Cleveland did their job, and they continue the narrative that they play a lot better when OBJ's not there. So if they make the playoffs, while OBJ's gone, there's nothing else to say. So speaking of your boy OBJ, you had something.
I did. So now we're left with OBJ. The idea was for him to clear waivers.
Yeah, he's going to clear waivers. He's going to clear waivers. He's already told teams that if you pick me up, you're going to have hell to pay.
Problems.
Problems.
Yep. So,
do we have a problem? That's what's going to happen if you touch him on waivers.
So when he clears waivers and he'll become a free agent at that point, he can choose essentially any team that will have him, any team that he feels like is the best fit for him. So we know that with OBJ, with his personality off the field, his playing ability, he's already said that he wants a team that can contend in the postseason, and we know that he wants a team that is in a city that will help him to more easily further. He can further his brand from anywhere, but more easily further his brand. So we know all that's taken into consideration as well as the quarterback. So with that, Jay, for you, who would you say would be the top 2 or top 3 best fits for Odell Beckham Jr. based upon what he wants out of his next team?
So you've got really 4 options. He's going to clear, correction. You got 5 options. He's going to clear waivers, so we know that's going to happen. But I think 5 teams could really use him and be absurdly good. Mm-hmm. We'll start off with both the Los Angeles teams. Okay. I think you put him in L.A., he's going to be Hollywood, but then you can kind of blend him in with all the other guys. Blend him in with the greats of what Cooper Kupp is doing for the Rams. Blend him in with what Mike Williams is doing. Ridiculously out there with the Chargers. He's never good when he's on your fantasy team.
No, he's
ever.
Not. No, he's not.
Ever. I'm trying to figure out how he ends up on anybody else's fantasy team this year because he's never good when he's on an actual team. But anyway. So you've got the Chargers. You've got the Rams. I think those 2 are 2 good options. Mm-hmm. Next, of course, is the Dallas Cowboys. They love the Hollywoodness, and they like guys that are kind of disgruntled and issues, I guess you could say. But I think he'd be really good with Dak in the squad. That would be a nice place for him to show up, giving them a third wide receiver that's ridiculous and he could play good with. 4th, I think Tampa Bay, playing with Tom Brady. Who else makes sense? Tom Brady. That's it. You just go down there, Tom Brady, try to win a Super Bowl with all the other stacked players they have. And my 5th one, my 5th one's tied, so I'm gonna go 6 teams. Okay. 5th one I tie with the Ravens and the Bills. I think you put him in either one of those 2 teams. Woo, woo, woo. But the problem is with the Bills, they're not a market he's going to want to go to because Buffalo's considered a small market. He wants to advance himself. Buffalo, that's why I put them at kind of 6. But I think that if he went there, they would be obscenely good. Because Josh Allen's going to find a way to just throw that dang thing in the air. He's going to just throw it just to throw it. So you take advantage of that. But Baltimore, putting him out there with Bateman and Hollywood, Lamar's going to find you when he feels like it, and they're not going to take any mess from you. So I think that will probably be my 5th one.
Okay. When I first wrote the list for what I felt were the top 4, top 5 teams, they were all teams to where in the receiving game he would probably end up being the 3rd option. Well, I won't say that. I will say that there are already 2 established pass catchers there who are Pro Bowl level. So then I thought, okay, it depends on how many targets he's wanting. If he felt like he didn't get enough looks, enough targets thrown his way, and that's a big part of what he's wanting, then he may prioritize several teams over others. Or if he wants to go to a team, good quarterback or great quarterback, chance to contend in the postseason in a decent market, then maybe he would be more likely to choose that team, even if it meant having to sacrifice targets because he knows he's not going to be the top option because he already has 2 established guys there, and he's coming into that situation, doesn't even know the playbook. So all that considered, I ranked them. I'll go from 5 to 1. I had 8 teams on the list, but I'll go from 5 to 1.
Okay.
One of them, and I'm surprised you brought this up in a sense because I didn't catch on to this till today. At 5, I had Dallas. Like you said, the brand, the star power. I mean, outside of LA or New York teams, you would probably say that the Dallas brand, actually, they're above them NFL-wise.
NFL-wise, yes.
Yeah. So you have a really good quarterback. You have a chance to contend in the postseason this year. So, and you know that Dallas is known for making these types of splashes historically. I mean, you think T.O.
Yeah.
But I thought about, what about that Dak Dez Bryant dynamic that they had? And that's part of the reason why they let Dez Bryant go, because they didn't want some guy acting like Jerry Rice, always in his ear about getting more targets, no matter how many he got. It's never enough.
That makes sense.
But at the same time, Dez was already on that team. So this rookie comes in to his team, his turf, his territory. That's different than this being Dak's team, and now you're coming into Dak's team.
Yeah.
So that may not matter as much, but I would say they're probably the 5th best option.
Okay.
So they're 5. Number 4, I would say the Chargers. I really like their coach. Obviously, you love the city. You love the quarterback. You're in the AFC, which gives you a chance to get revenge on the Browns. And you have 2 elite defensive players on the other side, which is kind of what you're used to. I mean, you go from Myles Garrett to Joey Bosa, and they have Derwin James Jr., one of the best safeties in the game. So I think that's a good spot. If he landed there, I'd be like, okay, that's good. That makes sense. Good spot. So that's 4. 3, the Chiefs. This won't fix the Chiefs' problems and whether or not Patrick Mahomes and that offense is truly broken. And like I said, you have Tyreek Hill and you have Travis Kelce already on that team. But opposite Tyreek Hill, they're dying for someone who's in that Sammy Watkins role. And when is he ever going to have the chance to play with the quarterback at the talent level of Patrick Mahomes? Because we know that Patrick Mahomes, he's still Patrick Mahomes in there. It's just something has happened and they have to fix it. But when is he ever going to have another opportunity to play with a Patrick Mahomes-like quarterback, right? So that's 3. 2, Ravens. And this would be my top choice if he wants plenty of targets. Now, I know that Andrews gets his, and I know that Hollywood is the burner. But I do think Lamar, he would make an extra effort to, as bad as this kind of sounds, force some passes to him, which is part of what it sounds like. That was some of what he was wanting Baker to do outside of the times that he was just butt naked wide open, right?
Yeah.
But I think that he wouldn't have to worry about getting enough targets in this offense. And again, they got a good defense. They're a championship level organization, and you're still pretty close to that New York East Coast money. So I think that the Ravens could be a good spot for him as well. And they seem to treat players really, really good too, I think. So that's something you want to think about as well.
Yeah.
Because what he may also be thinking is if I get to a spot and I really like it here, I want to be in a place that potentially cap space wise or aggressive level wise would come after me, would really pursue me to stay if things go good here. And so you wanted it to be a team that you could foresee yourself being with the next 3 to 5 years. So that's 2. Number 1, Rams. Like you said, A-City, I think, quarterback, he's got the arm to hit me when I'm open down the field. That's what I care about the most. So I can't say A quarterback because it is still Matthew Stafford. 4 weeks ago, you probably would have said A quarterback. Now we're going to say B quarterback.
He played with Calvin Johnson, and he found a way to get the ball to Calvin Johnson on a regular basis. So, yeah, that does make sense.
And at the same time, I bet OBJ thinks that he is and he is. He's physically more gifted than Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods.
Yeah, I can see that. I can agree with that.
So he says, I could go in here, I could be the number 1, at least the number 2, and that will net me plenty of targets, right? So you have a good defense on the other side of you as well. 2 of the best defensive players, maybe the 2 best defensive players in the game. I know Myles Garrett might be in there somewhere, Trayvon Diggs, but 2 great defensive players. And the Super Bowl is going to be in this stadium. So if I'm talking about contending, going through the postseason, this team is one of the top teams in the NFC, and we could be in this building to play this Super Bowl, and I could be just that one extra thing that if they would have had me last night against Tennessee, they wouldn't have got beat. Well, they would have got beat, but not 28-16. More 28-24. We don't feel as bad on Monday morning if you have me. So that's what I think. Rams 1, Ravens 2, Chiefs 3, Chargers 4, Cowboys 5.
Well, we'll find out Tuesday when he clear waivers. So when you watch this on Tuesday or listen to this on Tuesday, by then we'll know at 4 o'clock who he's going to, after he clears waivers, who he's going to make his decision to go with. So we'll see.